Hello everyone, welcome back to this channel. In the first week of October, we were in Germany attending Anuga. Anuga is a food and beverage expo where companies come to display their products, and because we just started our own company, we were there to check out what's going on around the world. And guess what else was happening that weekend in Cologne? The Cologne Marathon. And so I decided to run the Cologne Half Marathon. In this video, I'm going to share with you my experience of this race. I'm going to cover the start and the finish lines, and also I'm going to talk about the course elevation in comparison to some of the other half marathons I've done. This information will be particularly useful if you're aiming for a new PR in this race. We arrived in Cologne 2 days before the race and headed straight to the Expo. The Expo is held in Motor World, which is around 12 kilometers away from the center of the city. The moment you enter Motor World, you will be greeted by a very impressive display of cars before you reach the Expo Center. The bib collection process was very simple and efficient, and I was done in almost no time at all. And once that was done, we went out to explore. And soon we realized that this was one of the best expos that we have seen in the recent times. There were a lot of brands available and the atmosphere was really fun. We made a few purchases, had some non-alcoholic beer, and then headed back to our hotel. The swag we received was also quite decent, with a very handy backpack and some electrolytes and snacks. Overall, it was a very good experience. The expo was extremely well managed. There were a lot of brands with great discounts available. Bottom line, it was everything that you would expect from a good expo. We were put up in Düsseldorf and we had a long train ride to Cologne.
We're waiting for the train from Düsseldorf. The reason we are staying in Düsseldorf is because the hotels in Cologne are way overpriced because of Anuga and because of the marathon. So we decided to stay in another town and just take a train ride down to Köln, Deutsch. That's where the starting line is.
Düsseldorf is about 40 kilometers away from Cologne, and it is easily accessible by road or by train. People say that trains in Germany are usually late, but we were very much on time that day. The race starts very close to the Köln station. So if you're keen on getting an accommodation close to the start line, then this is the place that you should be looking at. But if you're comfortable traveling by metro or the trains, then you can as well go to any other place which has a direct access to Köln by train. The good part about this is that you get free transportation within Cologne for 2 days for you and a companion. So you can travel around Cologne for free. But you have to note that this is within the VRS areas only. If you're traveling from outside of Cologne, then you can use the Deutsche Bahn app for easy ticket booking and to know what trains will take you where. The start line was just outside the train station. When we reached there, there was practically no crowd. We had reached a little before 8 a.m. But just within about 20 minutes, by around 8:15, the crowd started filling up really fast. Closer to about 8:30, it became jam-packed. And on the dot 8:30 a.m., we were off. So in this part of the video, I'm going to talk about the race experience and the course elevation. In terms of race experience, what I personally value is the scenery you see along the route and also the crowd support along the way, and thirdly, the arrangements that the organizers make throughout the race. In terms of the scenery, the course runs through the city, so you'll be running alongside a lot of residential buildings and some public parks. It is not a very touristy city like Prague, so you won't find too many landmarks or historic monuments. But this race is a nice way if you want to explore Cologne as a city. The next part is the crowd support. Crowd support was absolutely brilliant. I think it was even better than my experience in Berlin last year. It was especially very strong towards the second half of the race, and that was when you really need the energy from the crowds. I can only show you some clippings of how well it motivated the runners towards the end. But from personal experience, I can assure you the crowd has a great positive impact, especially towards the end. And now about the race arrangements. Well, the water stations were very much on point. They were providing water and bananas and even dextro energy drinks for people. For me, I personally don't prefer having anything new, so I stuck to water all along the race. But people were going for the dextro and the bananas. Even after the race, they gave out sheets for us to cover ourselves with, which was quite handy because it had rained and everything was drenched, and it was good to keep a little warmer. Even the race after party was quite brilliant. It has a wide range of food and drinks available. Hot soup, cold beer, bread, sausages, cheese, nuts, you name it, and they had a wide range of food available for you. With all this, I believe that this is one of the best race arrangements I have ever seen among all the races that I've run in. The only area I think the race could improve a bit is the medal design. It does not really stand out as a remarkable design. But other than that, I think the race management was near perfect, and I would rate the race authorities very highly. By this time, I think the only question that's left unanswered is whether this race is as good as the Lisbon and the Prague Superhalfs. Is this race good enough to get a new personal best? For us to decide that, we'll look at 4 factors: the course profile, the weather conditions, the race organization, and the course atmosphere and motivation. So far, I've covered number 3 and number 4 in the duration of the video. The race organization was near perfect, and the course atmosphere was brilliant. The crowd support was phenomenal. So in these 2 points, the race clears with flying colors. Coming to the weather conditions, you need a reasonably cold weather to be able to perform at your best. Ideally between 10 to 15 degrees Celsius for me personally. And the conditions in Cologne were near perfect again. The temperature at the start was around 10 degrees Celsius, and it didn't get so much hotter throughout the race. So that brings me to the last and the most critical factor, the course elevation. This course is extremely flat with a maximum elevation of 7 meters, which is towards the first kilometer and also in the 19th kilometer. It has a net elevation throughout the course of only 14 meters. On paper, it sounds like it is a lot steeper than the Prague and the Lisbon halves, but practically speaking, it is not. You won't feel it much when you're running that long distance. In fact, if you compare the elevation kilometer by kilometer for the 3 half marathons, you'd see that the Cologne half has a lot less amplitude compared to the Lisbon or the Prague halves. So what this essentially means is that there are not many very steep inclines or declines in Cologne. The terrain is pretty much flattish and you wouldn't feel it much over the distance. The course profile is very similar to that of Prague, and Prague is where I achieved my PR last April. So in conclusion, if you're looking for a half marathon to achieve a PR, then this might be your solution. This race is very suited to go for a PR. It contains a perfect concoction of a flat race profile, a great weather, good crowd support, and excellent race management. In conclusion to this video, I would say that I had a great time running this half marathon, and also I had a really nice time putting everything together in this video. If you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it, please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.